Sundar Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Sundar Bihari Jaya Gopinana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopinana Vallabha Girivardhari Asuranandana Dharanarandana Asuranandana Dharanarandana Yamuna Thila Vanachari Yamuna Thila Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Subhapad Ki Jai, ISKCON New Govardhana Ki Jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Gopamandi. Ogoisam devotees, Ogoisam devotees, Ogoisam devotees, Ogoisam Shivam Shi Ganga. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Remembrance of Lord Krishna, text number 9. Ham Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ham Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ham Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ingitya Puru Prauda Ekaramas Chasatvataha Sadvatam Rishabham Save Bhutavasham Hamam Sata Ingitagya Purupada Ekaramas Chasadvataha Sadvatam Rishabham Save Bhutavashamamam Sata Ingitagya Purupada Ekaramas Chasadvataha Sadvatam Rishabham Save Bhutavashamamam Sata. Word for word, Ingitagya, expert in psychic study. Purupradaha, highly experienced. Eka, one. Aramaha, relaxation. Cha, also. Satvataha, devotees or own men. Satvatam Rishabham, head of the family. Save, all. Bhuta Avasham, all pervading. Amam Sata, could think. Translation, Prabhu Gusisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation, the Yadus were all experienced devotees, learned and expert in psychic study. Over and above this, they were always with the Lord in all kinds of relaxations, and still they were only able to know him as the one supreme who dwells everywhere. Please repeat. The Yadus were all experienced devotees. Learned and expert in psychic study. Over and above this, they were always with the Lord in all kinds of relaxations, and still they were only able to know him as the one supreme who dwells everywhere. Purport. In the Vedas, it is said that the Supreme Lord or the Paramatma cannot be understood simply by the strength of one's erudition or power of mental speculation. Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo Na Medhaya Na Bahuna Shrutina. Kata Upanishad 1.2.23. He can be known only by one who has the mercy of the Lord. The Yadavas were all exceptionally learned and experienced, but in spite of their knowing the Lord as the one who lives in everyone's heart, they could not understand that he is the original personality of Godhead. This lack of knowledge was not due to their insufficient erudition, it was due to their misfortune. In Vrindavan, however, the Lord was not even known as the Paramatma because the residents of Vrindavan were pure, unconventional devotees of the Lord and could think of him only as their object of love. They did not know that he is the personality of Godhead. The Yadus, or the residents of Dwarka, however, could know Lord Krishna as Vasudeva, or the super soul living everywhere, but not as the Supreme Lord. As scholars of the Vedas, they verified the Vedic hymns, Eko Deva Sarvabhuta Devashaha Antayami and Vishinam Paladevataha. The Yadus therefore accepted Lord Krishna as a super soul incarnated in their family and not more than that. So everybody has an individual relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even those conditioned souls within the material realm, everybody has an original relationship with Krishna. And some are knowing and some are not knowing. Some are trying to remember Krishna, some are trying to forget Krishna, but everybody's on a different platform according to their previous activities, previous desires, and even in this life, things such as the environment that one grows up in. It could be the influence of their parents, their peer group, the school they go to. So many different influences are there from past and present of one's understanding, sort of like a spectrum, I guess you could say. At one end of the spectrum, you've got the hardcore atheists, and the other end of the spectrum are those, very spiritual, religious persons who are trying to pursue the absolute truth. And in the middle, you've got everybody else who might be classified as agnostic, perhaps. Agnostic comes from the Latin word agnosis, which comes from the Sanskrit word agneya, meaning without knowledge or not knowing. So in this group of agnostic, some don't know but are trying to find out, some don't know and don't care, and so many other different categories. Everybody's in their individual worldview as far as understanding of that supreme absolute. So here we're hearing the Yadus. They describe they're all experienced devotees, learned and expert in psychic study, and they were constantly associating with that Supreme Personality Godhead, but they could not understand his original identity. So Prabhupada, he says it's not due to their lack of knowledge, lack of erudition, it's just due to misfortune. So according to their desire, according to their understanding, according to their spiritual, current spiritual realization, that's the platform that they're on. They could understand Krishna as the super soul. Somehow or other, that super soul is incarnated within their family. And so that's the platform. So similarly, it's like in Vaikuntha also, they have prem in one sense, but it's not Krishna prem. Their relationship is with the four-handed Narayan, Vishnu form, and they're worshipping him in the mood of Aishvarya or in reverence, and they're seeing him as the supreme, but in Vrindavan they don't see Krishna as the Supreme Personality. He's just that lovable boy who everybody loves even more than their own children. So it's on a much higher and more intimate, sweet level. That's their level of realization, which is basically the topmost realization, and that's what pleases Krishna the most. Is not that constant awe and reverence, but just to be like Mother Jasoda and Nanda Maharaj and the other Brajabasis. They're just seeing this is our lovable son or a lovable boy in the village, and he needs to be protected and taken care of in so many different ways. So that's a very sweet reciprocation. So that's what pleases Krishna the most. Of course, Krishna reciprocates according to our realization and our understanding. And so we could understand that the Yadavas are completely happy with that realization. This is the incarnation of Super Soul. But from a broader perspective, it's that there is a higher platform to go on. But at the moment, they're satisfied with that. And Krishna is reciprocating. He's agreed to, or he's made that arrangement to take birth, to appear within that Yadu dynasty. And so he's reciprocating with all those personalities there according to their level of understanding. And we have, like Dhritarashtra, of course, he was regularly seeing Krishna, but he just saw him as... even he saw Krishna manifested the partial universal form. Dhritarashtra, this is just some magical yogic tricks. That's as far as he could see. He couldn't accept Krishna as the Supreme Person. So, once again, Krishna is reciprocating according to the person's understanding towards him. Direct reciprocation. So, how to understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality Godhead? It's only through devotional service. So we have that verse 1855, that one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality Godhead, only by devotional service, and one is in full consciousness of me. By such devotion he can enter into the kingdom of God. So this is the secret, that open secret that Krishna is telling us. So, but it's not that everybody can engage in devotional service, without that understanding, without that inspiration or motivation to try to come closer to Krishna. That desire for performing devotional service is not going to be there. The Prabhupada comments in the purport of this verse that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, the truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will always be hidden. So no one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Christian conscious devotional service can understand what Krishna is. So, many people say, well, is there a God? You show me. But first, that person has to qualify themselves. Krishna is not so cheap that he'll just appear at the whims of, less intelligent person or less unfortunate persons. They just want to... And even if, their understanding or concept of who that Supreme Person is not very mature. So even if a person appears before them and says, yes, I'm Krishna, how are they going to recognize or understand? So we can only understand through devotional service. Devotional service develops love within the heart of Krishna, and Krishna reciprocates with that. So as our loving sentiment increases more and more, Krishna is very happy to reciprocate, because that's what he wants. So we know Krishna, he's on the platform of Atmarama, fully self-satisfied. He doesn't require anything from anybody, completely independent. But what he does ask for is our love. And so it's not a difficult thing, but nevertheless, one qualifies themselves to receive that love through loving devotional service. And of course it's through divine meeting with the spiritual master that the last verse of the Mangalarti prayers every morning, we know it's by the mercy of the spiritual master one receives the benediction of Krishna. So without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. So very important understanding that we can't approach Krishna directly, but we approach through his authorised disciplic succession. And we know when, as we mentioned, everybody got a different relationship, understanding, realisation of who Krishna is. So in Krishna book, we have the story when Krishna and Balaram entered the wrestling arena that Kamsa had arranged. So it's mentioned that when Krishna entered the wrestling arena of Balaram and their friends, he appeared differently to different people according to their different relationships or rasas. So Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure and all kinds of rasas, both favourable and unfavourable. So to the wrestlers, Chanura and Mustika, he appeared exactly like a thunderbolt. So even though they were small children in relationship to the big, strong wrestlers, still they were seeing these boys as great thunderbolts. To the people in general, he appeared as the most beautiful personality. unparalleled beauty. To all the ladies there he appeared the most beautiful male, Cupid personified. And thus increased their lust, spiritual lust and attraction for him. The cowherd men who were present looked upon Krishna as their own kinsman coming from their own village, Vrindavan. And to all the pious Kshatriya kings who were there, saw him as the strongest ruler and as their chastiser. So there was an element of fear there. To the parents of Krishna, Nanda and Jasoda, he appeared to be the most loving child. To Kamsa, the king of the Bauja dynasty, he appeared to be death personified. So Kamsa, for so many years, he was meditating on that prophecy that the 8th child of your sister is going to kill you. So here he is, directly in front of him, Krishna, death personified. To the unintelligent, he appeared to be an incapable personality. So for those who have no knowledge, okay, a little young boy from Vrindavan, what's he going to do? No deeper understanding, just very external. To the yogis present, he appeared to be the super soul. To the members of the Rishni dynasty, he appeared to be the most celebrated descendant. So somehow or other, we've had this wonderful personality appear within our dynasty. So many different personalities are seeing Krishna in different ways. So we all have a different relationship with Krishna. So we have what we can call the yoga ladder, which Prabhupada briefly explains in Bhagavad Gita, that within the Vedic understanding, everybody according to their deeds, according to their understanding, according to their desires, they're on certain levels. And for those who are trying to transcend their particular situation, so we have the karma ladder, karma kanda, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, and of course bhakti yoga. So ladder from the beginning going up. So the karma yoga, the bottom of the ladder, karma kanda, the fruitive worker trying to elevate themselves to the heavenly planets through regulated sense gratification. Basically, they're following the Vedas, but they're trying to satisfy their senses, but their goal is the heavenly planets. So this is the lowest rung of the ladder, but Prabhupada does say still they can be considered transcendental because they're trying to improve their particular situation. And then above that, karma yogis, they're renouncing the fruits of one's labour. So they're acting according to the Vedas, but they're trying to develop the understanding of being detached from the results of their labour. So within karma yoga, you get nishkam and nishkam karma, and what's the other category? Sakam karma. So Prabhupada does mention, I think it's in the 3rd canto, that the demigods, or many of them, can be classified as sakam karma yogis, in that they're obviously devotees, but they have material desires. So they're put in that position of control, because that's the sort of desire they have. So they have great influence over universal affairs, but still it's trying to satisfy their material desires. But as a result, a reaction of those material desires, they get harassed by, the demons, and, they have different sort of issues that they have to deal with. That's a result of that sakam platform. Above that is the jnana yogis, so they're mental speculation basically, and they're trying to enter into the Brahman effulgence through, they can be very austere, and but just mentally speculating, neti, what's eternal, what's temporary, just trying to focus on the impersonal Brahman. And above that, Ashtanga yoga, so that Ashtanga, the 8 limbs, So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, dhyana and samadhi. So the goal of that is to meditate. Samadhi is meditating on Super Soul, Krishna within the heart. And of course above that's Bhakti Yoga, is loving devotional service to Bhagavan, Supreme Personality. So one thing with this ladder is that you don't have to start at the bottom. You can jump right up to the top. If you have that desire, and of course that desire comes about from many different influences. Particularly said that if one has the blessings of a sadhu from previous life, they perform many different pious activities. Slowly, the material desires in the heart start to be replaced with Haladini Shakti, personified by Radharani. Slowly over many lives, the result of that, all those pious activities, that sort of essence of devotion begins to manifest within the heart. And as that continues, and if the desire stays fixed like that, slowly that creeper of devotion manifests, and our spiritual life continues more and more. So we have some notes here. So in the purport, Prabhupada's purport in Bhagavatam 11:19-17, he mentions that there's 4 types of evidence. You have the Vedic knowledge, or Shabda Praman, which is the highest level. Basic Shabda Praman is spiritual sound vibration coming from Sastra. But apart from that, direct experience, traditional wisdom and logical induction, that there are many different levels, but Prabhupada specifically mentions these. So he says that particularly these type of more material evidences, based on gaining evidence through the material senses, as cited here, are often mutually contradictory in their description of the highest truth. So one should therefore be detached from the duality of mundane evidence, including the portions of the Vedas that deal with the material world. So basically the Vedas, more or less the 4 Vedas, more or less deal with the 3 modes of material nature. But the essence of that is taken out, and that's what we have as Srimad Bhagavatam. So instead one should accept the Supreme Personality Godhead as the actual authority. So both in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is personally speaking. So there's no need to enter into any sort of bewildering network of competing systems of mundane logic. Some people get very caught up in that, debating in so many different ways. We had, it's called the Kakatau Nyaya, I think it is, which basically means the crow and tau fruit logic. So Prabhupada tells this story that these learned personalities, they're debating in so many ways. They're sitting under a tau fruit, like a tau fruit is like a fig tree, more or less. And a crow lands on the tree, and one of the tau fruit falls down, and then the crow flies away. So they start debating, these great learned personalities. When the crow landed, the tau fruit fell, and it scared the crow, and the crow flew away. And now one says, no, when the crow landed on the branch, it knocked the tau fruit off. And someone says something else, and on and on and on. They're all debating how this whole event happened in so many different ways. But eventually one Vaishnava turns up and he just takes the towel fruit, offers it to Krishna and distributes it the prasadam to everybody and said, just take some prasadam and be happy. So, what's that saying? Paralysis by analysis. You just try and analyse and in the end you get nowhere. So one can directly hear from the Absolute Truth himself and immediately acquire perfect knowledge. So no need for all this high philosophy, mental speculation. So one thereby becomes detached from the inferior systems of knowledge which cause one to hover on the material mental platform. That everybody's got their own opinion and, everybody wants to speculate about Krishna, but nobody wants to listen to what Krishna has got to say himself because we get very proud of our own, understanding and knowledge. So there's different types of evidence or praman. So while we hear Shabda praman is the highest, this is sound vibration of the Sastra. So there's one story, I believe it's from Garga Samhita, that Mother Jasoda, she wanted to see direct evidence from her senses, praman. So the story is that one time all the older gopis, they came to Mother Jasoda and complained that your son every day is coming to our house and stealing our butter and our milk and our yogurt. And Mother Jasoda said, our house, you think we've got no butter, milk and yogurt in our house? We've got 900,000 cows, 9 lakhs of cows. The milk and the butter and yogurt are flowing through our house like rivers. Why would my dear Lala go to your house to steal? What is your proof? What is your praman? I want to see proof. So the older gopi said, okay, we'll bring you evidence. So we will bring your son back. He'll be covered in our yogurt and our butter. You just see. So the gopis, they went to get Krishna's favourite cow. So we know what the name of Krishna's favourite cow is? Hamsi? No. You could say every cow is his favourite, but one outstanding, Padma Ganda. So what does Padma mean? Lotus. So her milk has the aroma of lotus flowers. So that's Krishna's favourite cow. So they got some milk from Padma Ganda and they made milk into yogurt and then churned it into butter. And then they thought up this very clever arrangement that they put the butter into a bowl and then they put all small bells around the bowl. And then, so if anybody moved the bowl, ring, 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 immediately they would know. And then they tied the bowl with a rope and put the rope over rafters and lifted it up. So it was off the ground. And then they put all little bells all along the rope. So if somebody moved the rope, the bells would ring. And then they were thinking, actually, Krishna's very tricky. Sometimes he gets the grinding mortar and he stands up on it to reach. So they put bells all around the grinding mortar. So if he moved the grinding mortar, it would ring. And then they were thinking, so what other tricks would he do? He may come through the window when nobody's watching. So put all bells around the window. So if somebody comes through the window, all the bells would ring. So they thought, yes, we're going to catch him this way. And then they all hid in the corners, in the shadows, just waiting for Krishna to come. And then they would catch him with yogurt and butter all over him, then they can take him to Mother Jasoda with the evidence, with the praman. So after some time, Krishna understood that, yes, in that house is the butter from Padma Ganda. All his friends, he brought them and said, we're going to steal. So they were scouting around the house, said yes, through the window. And then Krishna noticed all bells on the window, bells on the wooden grinding mortar, bells on the rope, bells on the bowl. And he looked at his friends and said, who do these gopis think I am? Who do they think I am? By my will I can destroy universes. By my will I can create universes. And they think they're going to stop me with some bells. And so he pointed to the bells and said, don't ring. So in that way he climbed through the window, the bells didn't ring. All his friends came through, the bells didn't ring. And then they're looking up, okay, we have to get up there, let's move the wooden grinding mortar, the bells didn't ring. And then he climbed up and pulled the rope down, the bowl, none of the bells rang. And then he put his hand in, and just as he was starting to eat, all the bells started ringing. And all the gopis come out, we've caught you. Look, butter on your mouth, butter on your hand. And they grabbed him and said, we're going to take you to Mother Jasoda. We've got the praman, we've got the evidence now. And Krishna, angrily, he looked at the bells. Hey, I told you not to ring. And of course, in Krishna's pastimes, everything is personal. So even the bells are personal. So they appeared in their personal forms with folded hands. And they said, oh, my dear Lord, it is such an injunction that when you are accepting your offering, the bells have to ring. What can we do? We have to follow the sastra. So in that way, Krishna was caught. So, yeah, it's a nice story. I might end there, actually, if there's any questions or comments. Yeah, I heard Dinabandhu, he gave it some time ago. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Prabhu.